Hi, Digestible listeners, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm Stacy.
And I'm Melissa.
And here at the Digestible podcast, we give you all the health and wellness information you need in an amount of time that your busy day can handle. And we make it easily digestible. Get it?
So, Stacy, this week we are doing part 3 of our 3-part series about how nature can impact our health.
Yes.
And we had 2 great previous episodes with 2 very special but different forest therapy guides that talked a lot about the science and the magic, really, behind what being out in nature can do for our health. This week, we have Dr. Melissa Sundermann.
The Doctor Outdoors.
She is Dr. Outdoors. I love it. So Dr. Melissa Sundermann is a double board certified physician in internal medicine and lifestyle medicine with over 25 years of experience in medical practice. She has advanced training in integrative medicine from the University of Michigan and has completed a professional training program in mind-body medicine through the Center for Mind-Body Medicine. Widely recognized as Dr. Outdoors, Dr. Sundermann is the medical director of lifestyle medicine for Corewell Health System. A lifelong outdoor enthusiast, Dr. Sundermann finds inspiration and healing in running, biking, hiking, skiing, and immersing herself in nature. She is a 12-time Boston Marathon finisher and a 3-time full Ironman triathlon finisher. She firmly believes that age is not your cage and is dedicated to helping others cultivate vitality, resilience, and joy at every stage of life. Dr. Sundermann, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited for this conversation.
Great. So you've been practicing medicine for over 25 years. What made you decide to become a board-certified lifestyle medicine doctor?
It's a great question. I really had this drive, this desire, this passion, this curiosity to go to medical school to become a physician, and I did. And I chose to go to a DO program, Doctor of Osteopathic school. And the reason why I chose that is that as DOs, we think about the body as an integrated system, an integrated body, and approach healing that way. And I became board certified in internal medicine. I liked to develop long-term relationships with my patients. And as an internist, I got to do a little bit of everything, including office work and hospital work. And when I was working at the University of Michigan back in about 2007, I had the opportunity to be a part of a faculty scholars program in integrative medicine. And so I spent the year learning about complementary and alternative ways of healing. So acupuncture, traditional Chinese medicine, Reiki, homeopathic medicine. And that further sparked my joy, my curiosity, my passion for learning of how to heal people beyond pills and procedures. I felt like I was just adding to my doctor's tool bag about how I could best treat my patients. And also, I was learning about how I could take care of myself. So fast forward, it's about 2018. I do have 2 kids, and they were super busy and into their sports growing up. And so I wore a doctor's hat, and I also wore a soccer mom and a dive mom hat too. And so when they were heading off to college in 2018, I said, okay, now I have a little bit more time professionally to pursue what my next steps are going to be. And I read through the description of lifestyle medicine and the pillars, and it truly gave me goosebumps because it felt like coming home. For a long time in medicine, I felt like an outlier because I felt that how I could best serve and help my patients was beyond or maybe a little bit different than what I learned in medical school. And when I read what lifestyle medicine was all about, I was like, this is how I have been trying to live my own life, and this is how I want to help my patients. And so I became board certified in lifestyle medicine through American College of Lifestyle Medicine in 2019, and I haven't looked back since. The paradigm of going from a sick care system to a well care system, and lifestyle medicine, integrative medicine, functional medicine sit really at the forefront of this.
That's great.
That's great. How would you describe what lifestyle medicine is?
Yeah, so lifestyle medicine is an evidence-based approach, right? That's key. It's evidence-based. And it really acknowledges that 80 to 90% of our chronic diseases are lifestyle-driven, right? So we're talking about type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart disease, autoimmune, obesity, even dementia. Maybe there's some genetic predisposition, of course, but the good news about that is that we have the power to make a difference, right? And so this week in my lifestyle medicine clinic, I always ask when I have new patients, I start off the appointment of, what's your why? It's so important that we develop a partnership when we're working with individuals, right? This is not about what I think is best for you. It's a partnership. And so I always start out with, what's your why? And a couple of patients just yesterday, their why included, I don't want to have to follow in the same pathway that all of my family members have with diabetes, with obesity, with heart attacks and strokes. And I believe that I don't have to follow in that path. And I said, you're absolutely correct. Genes run in families, but so do recipes and lifestyles, right? So, and there's no shame or judgment in that. It's just giving, people power that your genes are not your destiny. And through the pillars of lifestyle medicine and acknowledging that tremendous influence that our lifestyle behaviors have on whether we're going to fuel disease or prevent disease. And so there are 6 official pillars of lifestyle medicine. And those pillars are, I like to explain them as being like spokes on a wheel. So if you're riding a bike, you've got your spokes. And I'm a big biker, and I've had the occasion that a spoke has broken. And if a spoke on your wheel breaks, it does not revolve well at all. You might be at risk of crashing. So that's how we should think about these pillars of lifestyle medicine. They are all equally important, and not only that, but they play off of each other, right? So in no order of importance, the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine are: number 1, food is medicine, right? So just like Hippocrates said many centuries ago, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. So within the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, we do promote whole foods. So we like to say, plant strong, plant slant, not, doesn't have to be completely plant-based, but we want to have, plenty of colors on that plate. Eat the rainbow. So think about food as medicine. The second pillar is physical activity or exercise. I like to use the term movement rather than exercise. When I'm counseling individuals, we always want to meet individuals where they're at. And if I say, exercise, people automatically think of going to the gym, getting on a machine, and having to lift heavy weights. Right. And for some people, they're all into that. But others are like, that's not me. I don't know how to do that. I feel uncomfortable going to the gym, or I can't afford a gym, or I don't have access. So when we think about movement, it's finding ways that move your body that makes you feel good. It should feel good to move your body. And so to expand that lens and of opportunity of finding joy in movement, so moving our bodies. Third is sleep. And sleep truly is our superpower. And what happens while we sleep is incredibly powerful with our brain and our body to recover, and thinking, and even like the lymphatic system of ridding the proteins from accumulating. So restorative sleep, very important. Next pillar is the avoidance of risky substances and behaviors. So if you think about substances and behaviors that do not serve you, so tobacco, excessive alcohol, inappropriate drug use, but it could be behaviors also, compulsive gambling, even compulsive exercising, compulsive shopping, behaviors that do not serve us. The next pillar would be stress management. And we all have stress in our life. There's not a pill to take that away. But
that's the hardest one, I think.
What?
I feel like that's the hardest one.
Yeah, exactly.
Just don't stress about it. Okay.
Yeah, right. So it's really incorporating and learning tools to best manage stress. So whether that's, forms of mindfulness, of journaling or deep breathing or meditation, or maybe that's, going for a walk or connecting with other people, like finding ways that we can best manage our stress. And then the 6th official pillar is the role of social connection. And connection. And you can look at that as connection to self, connection to others, connection to environment. Connection to others, the health implications of being lonely in terms of increased risk of mortality, increased risk of dementia, could be the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes per day. Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
right.
crazy.
So those are the 6 official pillars. Now, if anyone wants to listen to me, I do talk about the 7th unofficial pillar of lifestyle medicine, hopefully soon to become an official pillar, and that is daily connection and exposure to fresh air and nature. So I really feel that connection to nature, not only connection to nature, but for what nature gives us, but then also what we can give back and reciprocity. And so that's what I talk about a lot.
I definitely think that seventh pillar needs to be in there.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a hard one because people have really separated themselves from nature. So getting back into it can feel very uncomfortable, I think.
Yeah.
Because they're used to air-conditioned space and they're used to not being around bugs or other animals or things like that. And so it's really, it can be a process. But you spend a lot of time outdoors. You really love the outdoors.
I do.
But you're also big on evidence-based medicine. So what kind of evidence are you discovering about exposure to outdoors and time outdoors?
There is so much evidence out there. Like, it's incredible. And where this all really started was back in the 1980s in Japan. And Dr. King Lee did some of the original forest bathing studies, Shinrin-yoku. And what's really interesting is his work was, he was really interested in stress and the immune system. And we know that when we're stressed out, our immune system goes kerplunk, right? Like, you're really like stressed out about something emotionally, or you don't get any sleep and your body gets stressed and then you get sick. You're like, seriously? I don't have time for this, right? So he acknowledged that. And so he said, well, gosh, maybe being out in forests could like make us feel better and reduce our stress. So then he hypothesized, well, if we're feeling less stressed, maybe being out in nature could actually help boost our immune system. So some of his original work in the early 80s, and then his work was published in the early 2000s, was looking at natural killer cell activity. So natural killer cell activity is really like, think about like the battleground for our immune system. And what they found was, the original experiments, they took a group of people, they took them into the forest for 2 days, they measured natural killer cell activity at baseline and then at day 1 and day 2. And they saw that significantly go up with their natural killer cell activity. So they're like, wow, something is happening.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So, and they're like, well, maybe it's just that like we took them away from their homes and they didn't have to do homework and wash dishes and do laundry. Maybe that's just it. So they took the same group of people, but instead of going to a forest environment, brought them into like a big city, big urban environment. Again, measure natural killer cell activity at baseline, day 1, day 2. Did not see that bump. So clearly something was happening in the forest environment. And what is really, really neat is when we talk about medications, and I'm an internist, right? So I love to start with the pillars of lifestyle medicine, optimize those. But yes, I do. There is a place for medications. So medications, we talk about half-life of how long a pharmaceutical is going to last. Most of my patients have to take their medication every day, sometimes twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day, a very short half-life. Very few medications are going to be once a week or once a month. What they found were these people who went into the forest for those 2 days, they saw that bump in natural killer cell activity. Then they went back home. They measured natural killer cell activity at day 7 and at day 30. And at day 7 and day 30, they still saw an elevation from baseline of the natural killer cell activity.
Wow.
So
That's
going
amazing.
out and being around green spaces. And again, you don't have to be in the Hinoki cypress forest.
That was going to be my next
Japan,
question. Is it like
right?
a certain type of forest?
You can just be around tree canopy, plants, like just being around there. And because what's happening is that you are inhaling phytoncides. And you guys talk a lot about food as medicine. I'm sure you mentioned phytonutrients. So phyto means plant. And then phytoncide, cidal means antibacterial. So anything that is living, green, a tree, a shrub, a plant, produces these phytoncides. These are organic volatile compounds. And the reason why they produce them is to protect themselves from getting sick, right? And so that they can flourish. Well, anytime we were around trees, tree canopy, forests, shrubs, houseplants, we inhale those phytoncides. And so those phytoncides can elevate our own immune system. And
so not just trees, it could be plants, other plants.
It could be plants.
It doesn't have to be
absolutely.
it doesn't even have to be a woody plant. You know the difference?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay,
yeah.
wow. So
Inhale
the
those
natural
phytoncides.
defenses of plants were around them.
What'd you say?
The natural defenses of plants
Yeah,
become our
yeah.
natural defense. They help
Yes,
our natural defenses.
absolutely.
And
Wow.
plants in the bedroom at night, like having plants in your bedroom, are a
I
good
just thought they
thing.
cleaned the air.
it's
I had
gonna
no
be all
idea.
Good about sequestering carbon dioxide and, and just then you get into biophilia, right? Which is the innate connection to all things living, right? So E.O. Wilson is where we really learned about biophilia. And I know I'm going on a tangent from phytoncides, but just to talk about biophilia. And we as kids know this, right? Now, I'm in my mid-50s now, so I grew up in the 70s before cell phones and iPads. But as a kid, you grow up being so curious in nature and wanting to connect with everything. You want to dig in the dirt and you look for worms. In the summertime right now, you want to catch fireflies. You want to pick up those caterpillars because they look so furry and you want to touch them. You want to climb trees and pretend you live up there. Like, we have this innate connection to nature and living creatures and living things, all living things. That's biophilia. It's programmed in us. And as we get older, we tend to get away from that, right?
Yeah.
And so really about biophilia is coming back to who we are and our relationship to all things living, right? So I digress. Let me get back to those phytoncides because I want to share one other really cool study with Dr. King Lee. So he, this is a really small study, only 12 subjects. Each subject had their own hotel room, and they stayed in the hotel room for 3 days and 3 nights. They measured natural killer cell activity pre-going to the hotel, and then half the rooms were rigged. They were vaporizing stem oil from the hinoki cypress tree, so basically emitting phytoncides into the room. Mm-hmm. And then the other 6 rooms were emitting O to nothing. So the people didn't know what they were, not aware if they were control or in the experimental arm. And then after the 3 days, they measure natural killer cell activity again. The people who were inhaling those phytoncides had a 20% increase in their natural killer cell activity and felt more refreshed, whereas the control group did not see any change in their natural killer cell activity. So something truly is happening.
Wow.
when we're in green spaces. You don't have to live in the woods, and so people who live in big cities oftentimes are asking me, like, what can I do? And you look at New York City, but New York City has Central Park. You look at Boston, Boston has the Boston Common. And really anything that's like tree-lined streets, parks, anything like that, even going to schoolyards, right? Because, if you look at playgrounds and things like that, there's ways to get nature that, don't have to be deep in the forest and how we can access this. And even some really cool studies about virtual reality nature, about nature sounds, about just looking at nature and the benefits that exist with that.
Wow.
Wow, that's so cool.
That is cool. And Dr. Sundermann, I know you figured this out. It gets cold here in Michigan. It's cold.
Yes, it does.
It's dark. It's till like 8 a.m.
Yeah.
I would love to be outside all year because when I'm inside, it just doesn't do the same thing. When I walk on the treadmill, it just doesn't do the same thing for me.
I hate
so
a
what
treadmill.
what do you say? Yeah. What do you say to people who aren't as passionate about exercise in the outdoors quite yet that you are?
Yeah.
What do you say to them about overcoming that?
Well, one of my favorite quotes as Dr. Outdoors is, there's no bad weather, just inappropriate equipment or clothing. So that's really important.
I'm afraid if I like to go for walks by myself.
Yeah.
I always, Dr. Sundermann, I always bring like my anxieties and psychology out of the program. I'm afraid I'm going to be on a walk by myself. I'm going to slip on some black ice, hit my head.
And you need yak tracks.
Die alone in the street.
You need a helmet. You need a helmet.
I was thinking that.
And some yak tracks.
And yak tracks. I'm going to do it.
I invite people to have the right attitude. Now, I will say for myself, in terms of my fitting in my healthy behaviors and activities in my day, I find that first thing in the morning works best for me. But everyone's different, right? And what I find is, yes, when my alarm goes off in the winter and it's early and it's dark and it's cold, I don't even give myself really the option. Now, if I'm sick or if it's like horrible, dangerous weather, I'm not going to do it. But I set out my clothes the night before and I have a plan. Sometimes my husband will run with me. Sometimes I'll meet some of my girlfriends. It helps, like, if you've got, a partner in this, or even if like you're not doing it in person, but maybe virtually, like, hey, like, I'm gonna, like, I don't do Strava, but some people do Strava, or let me know how your walk goes or how your run goes. Let's keep it, have an accountability partner can be really helpful. So I will just, before I've even stepped outdoors, so I can see what the temperature is, but I haven't been out there. I get dressed and then I go out. Now I will tell you, I'll be out later in the day pumping gas and I'm like, oh, I can't even get out of the car. I can't do this. But first thing in the morning before if the first time I step outdoors is with the attitude of I'm going out, and then, telling yourself, I'll go out for at least 5 minutes. Well, that's the biggest thing. Like once you get over that hump and you're already out there, and if you're moving your body, you're generally going to warm up. Sometimes, you just feel so invigorated after you've been out there, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing like a fresh snowfall. So I think it's just embracing what all the different seasons have and having a good attitude that, I've done, sometimes I do these reels, and I did this reel of, is your exercise weather dependent, right? And I think about so many healthy behaviors. Is your, eating weather dependent? Is your sleep weather dependent? And really, we want to be adaptable, and things might shift, right? If you're on vacation, you might eat differently, you might exercise differently, you might sleep better differently, but don't make, let's try not to make excuses, because we are wonderful at making excuses. And, not trying to be perfect. I always am counseling people to just try to be 1% better, and trying to find ways that can break down those excuses of, just like for me, what works is like, I look outside, I go, gosh, it's dark, it's cold. But you know what? I know I'm going to feel better afterwards. And I always do, just thinking about, I love Rich Roll's quote of, mood follows action. So many times we think differently, the opposite of, when I feel like it, I'll take the action. And a lot of times, like, we might not feel like it for a long time, but if we take the action, a lot of times our mood will shift for the better after that.
It's good to think about, for
I
sure.
have a couple questions, this is a little off track, about our lifestyle and the seasons and the weather, right?
Yeah.
Because here we are in the Midwest. So in the summer, I exercise daily regardless, but in the summer, I'm so much more active because I'll go for multiple walks, and I'll stay up later because my energy level's higher because the sun is out longer. And we'll eat dinner later, which I don't prefer, but we'll eat later. And maybe we'll have we're not big drinkers, but I'm more likely to have a drink in the summertime because there's nothing nicer than sitting outside and having a cocktail. But in the winter, it's like you want to sleep. Maybe you exercise once a day. You don't get out for extra walks. Are there adverse health effects from kind of moving with the seasons? Is it okay to kind of move with the seasons?
I think it's appropriate to move with the seasons. And you look at our ancestors, and they had to live and move with the seasons, right? And live off the land. And, I think so much of, when you look at chronobiology and circadian rhythms, is that we really want to align with that. And you're absolutely right. I think that especially living in the upper Midwest, where we cherish our long days and our warm days, right? And I think we cherish those so much is because we have some days that are a little bit, not so nice. And so
it's
it's
statement.
In Michigan, if it's like April, end of March, beginning of April, and it gets to be like 40 degrees, or someone driving around with a convertible, right? And so you really embrace that and appreciate that. And I think that, fall, getting into winter, of, not that we completely hibernate, but we can maybe slow down, right? And it's okay to slow down and ground yourself, and maybe have more time to, connect and talk and work on projects. I think it's really good for us to live with the seasons and to shift.
Okay,
it's like,
that makes me feel better.
And just like our moods, we are not supposed to be always happy, right? We're supposed to shift, right? And and to feel things. And I think that's the same way with our seasons.
Okay, so let's go back to your practice a little bit, because I think so. There's different types of treatments you prescribe, right? Not just obviously medications, and in severe situations where it's more acute or it's urgent, I'm sure you do. But some examples of treatments you'd give, and then do you have any examples of when it's worked for somebody, like a fun success?
So many
success story?
examples. So right within the building where we see patients, just upstairs, there's a teaching kitchen. So it has 6 teaching stations and then a demo station. And what we do is I see patients one-on-one, and then usually after I've seen a new patient, or maybe even established patient, I will then talk to that patient, that individual, see what their goals are, right? Where they want to be working on things. And then they'll see a health coach that same day and identify goals, right? Because when we're looking at behavior change is really, really hard. And how many times have you gone to your healthcare clinician, practitioner, and they're like, well, yeah, you got some diabetes and blood pressure, cholesterol. I need you to exercise and eat better. And then the patient's like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Like, where do I even start? Like, that means nothing to me. So I will see my new patient for about 40 minutes, really do a deep dive into those pillars. So tell me what like a day looks like. Tell me what kind of things you eat throughout the day. Do you go out to eat? Do you cook? How do you move your body? Do you move your body? Is it intentional? Like, tell me about sleep. Tell me about when you're feeling stressed out, what kind of things you like to do. Tell me about who in your life do you find love and support from. Do you go outdoors? So really, like, the history taking is so much deeper than beyond, like, what kind of diseases, allergies, and medications are you taking, right? And so then I'll do a warm handoff to a health coach, and I'll say, hey, we've identified that, their goal is they really want to work on improving their dietary quality, right? It's not about one size fits all. We don't talk about you have to be this, you eat this way. It's let's optimize your dietary quality and let's help you achieve that. So set up some SMART goals, right then and there. So when the patient leaves our office, they're like, okay, I got a plan. And then our health coaches can do check-ins. We can refer to our dietitians who work specifically, within our department. And then we also do shared medical appointments. And shared medical appointments are amazing. So they're billable to insurance because they're seen as doctor visits, so covered for most people's insurance. But we bring people together in a group and we have different focuses. So it's really shifting our approach, with how we take care of people. And lifestyle medicine and our pillars, we look at not only preventing, not only treating chronic disease, but possibly, and in many cases, reversing chronic diseases. So reversing type 2 diabetes, reversing blood pressure, reversing cholesterol. This one woman I had a couple of years ago, she was lovely. She was in her early 60s, and she really was doing great. She exercised all the time. She had a good life, socially connected, very active, but she struggled with cholesterol. And she said, I really do not want to go on a statin. And, some people, it's like, they're like, yeah, just give me the pill. That's all I care about. And then other people are like, I really don't want to do this medication. Is there another way? And I said, well, we can maybe work on optimizing your dietary quality. And so got her into some classes that she was learning new recipes and learning about food as medicine. And she did this class. This one particular class was a 15-day class. And it was like it's virtual, right? So, but they had webinars every couple of days. And she really went for it. And so I had baseline cholesterol labs on her. And then we did repeat 15 days after. And I got the results on a weekend. And I was just going through my EMR. And her results came through. And I have a screenshot to this day because I share it in a lot of my presentations. And her total cholesterol in 15 days dropped by 50 points, and her LDL dropped by 58 points.
Wow.
Wow, that's crazy.
So, right. And I have the screenshot. It's on Epic. It's like 2 weeks. The dates are there. No statin intervention. And so that was like really powerful to her, that she was like, oh my gosh, we have a lot more control than we think. And what is key to that is, creating sustainable lifestyle behaviors. I'm not into putting people on diets. I'm not into putting people on P90X, no offense, because those are like these challenges people think, and they're in a restrictive mindset. And what I want to help create is abundance, right? To create curiosity, to think of life abundantly and think of life with vitality and have a beginner's mind to learn all of this. And so that's what we do in our cooking classes. This is different than maybe how you've been cooking or ingredients that you've been using. Is it any more difficult? No, it's just different. So be curious about that and be excited to view things differently, and always, I think, anchoring to a why. Right. And so a patient I had yesterday, he was in his early 30s and was struggling with obesity and type 2 diabetes and blood pressure. And he has like 3 young kids. And he's like, yeah, I want to lose weight. And I've got 3 young kids. Like, I want to be able to play with them. I want to be active. I want to feel good in my body. And so I think when you can relate it to a why, that helps. That helps to drive that behavior change.
That's
and then
great.
when you start feeling good, right? When you start feeling good, then you keep doing it. You know, my husband had when you're talking about examples, my husband's not my patient, but when I became board certified in 2019, I lived a really relatively healthy life, but I was like, you know what? I really truly believe in practicing what I preach, and if I'm going to talk the talk, I need to walk the walk, or in my case, run the run. So there was some shifts that I made, not huge shifts, but just some shifts that I made, and we've been married for a long time. And he said, okay, 30 days. I'm gonna do exactly what you're doing for 30 days. You know, I'm with you for 30 days.
That's great.
But I was turning 50. He's like, I'll start it right after my 50th birthday. So he started doing that, and that was 2025 now. So 6 years ago, and the changes that he made, he was able to get off blood pressure medication, get off cholesterol medication. He was a soccer player in college for the University of Michigan. He's had 3 ACL replacements, so chronic knee pain, having to pop ibuprofen all the time. He's like, my knees don't hurt anymore. Like, not,
wow.
I mean, maybe occasionally has to, because inflammation in his body, right?
Right.
Just from really working on those pillars and, you know, getting rid of a lot of processed food and inflammatory foods, and he's going to keep doing it because he was feeling better. Like,
that's amazing.
Now I'm not taking medications and my knees feel better and I have better energy, and he lost like 15 pounds. Like, it's like, why wouldn't I keep doing it?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Win, win, win.
That's amazing.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Dr. Sundermann, you are also Dr. Outdoors, correct? And we
Yes,
can find you, our
indeed.
listeners can find you on social media.
Yes, they can. And
I found her on social media long before this interview was
Yes.
ever planned.
I said, I'd like to get Dr.
Love
Sundermann. She's Dr. Outdoors. And Stacey said, I know who that is.
She's in my
follow her.
For You page. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally aligns with everything that I watch.
Well, the amazing thing about life, right? There's so many, well, there's no coincidences. It's serendipity and what the universe brings you. Remember back in the early part of my interview with you, I said I'm a DO. Went to Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine school.
D.O.
Who knew that was actually going to stand for Dr. Outdoors? Yes, so you can follow me on Instagram at the Dr. Outdoors.
Thank you.
And Naturist Medicine.
I watch
That's
you taking
great.
hikes all over.
Yeah, I love that you travel and
I'm in
do all these
Colorado
beautiful
today. Yeah.
It's so nice. I want to be there. And I also hear you have a book coming out. Can you tell us a little bit about that? That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm super excited. It should be coming out. I'm not sure when this is going to air, but hopefully the middle to end of September 2025. And the title is Dr. Outdoors Guide to Nature and Lifestyle Medicine. So not only does it have a lot of the research, we talked about a little bit of this, it's full of citations and research to back this up. There's lots of resources or lots of practical strategies. We actually do talk about how to align your life with the seasons and changing seasons. So
I can't wait to read it.
Me
yeah,
too.
I'm super excited.
So it's
that
not just for doctors, it's for everybody.
Oh no, it's really for everyone. Yeah, it's not doctory at all. Yeah.
Perfect. Love
Yeah.
it. We look forward to having you back to talk about it some more.
Absolutely. I love
That's
that.
wonderful. Okay, great. Well, so we like to ask our guests 2 questions.
Okay.
The first one is, if you could give our listeners an assignment or a takeaway from today's conversation, what would it be?
So I'll be a broad one, and then we'll give a specific one. So when you're thinking about the pillars of lifestyle medicine and behavior change, anything is better than nothing. It is never too early or too late, and aim to be 1% better. Okay? So keeping that in mind, I think sometimes people get so black and white, all or nothing, and just aim to be 1% better, because it really does matter. In terms of an actionable, more specific, is steps. And I know we talk about steps and this and that, but some really great data is coming out about the anything is better than nothing. And really trying, if you've got a smartphone, you have a pedometer on that. If you've got an Apple Watch, I have a Garmin, but start paying attention to your steps, right? Sitting is the new smoking. We've never been more sedentary, right? So anything is better than nothing with movement. If you can get, they say about 7,000 steps a couple times a week that can lower your risk of all-cause mortality, cardiovascular disease. Brain health, some really interesting data. I'm in my mid-50s right now. I'm caring for aging parents. You know, you think about brain health. Like, I'm at the stage now of like, and we should be thinking about brain health from the get-go. But getting at least 3,800 steps per day, so around 4,000 steps per day, could potentially lower your risk of dementia by up to 25%.
That's amazing.
Getting 9,800 steps per day, aiming for 10,000 steps per day, could lower your risk of dementia by up to 50%. So start paying attention to your steps. Look at your smartphone, look at your smartwatch, and if you're getting just 2,000 steps per day, maybe challenge yourself, can I get to 3,000? Right? If you're getting 3,000, maybe 4,000. Anything is better than nothing. And you can break that up. You don't have to do a power walk, and oh my God, Dr. Sundermann says I have to go out and walk for an hour. No, like, look at your life. Like, can you get up in the morning and go for a short walk? You know, can you do something at lunchtime? A patient I had yesterday, he's like, you know what? I have 30-minute lunch break when I'm at work. I've been doing a power walk during that 30-minute lunch break. I'm like, fantastic. And because of that, he's been able to now get 8,000 steps per day where he was getting nothing. So really, maybe look at your steps and see if you can try to get, 7, 8, 10,000 steps per day. And you can break that up. It doesn't have to be all at once.
Are steps interchangeable with a workout? Like if it's winter, maybe it's too cold to get outside, and I'm doing an indoor workout, but I'm not walking?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I just think when you think about accessibility, I think that people, like, they don't belong to a gym or they don't like to ride, get on machines. Like, walking is something that can be social. You can do it with other people. You can walk your dog. You can get outdoors. It's just something that most people can do.
Okay.
Great.
That's great.
Yep.
All right. Our last question is, here at the Digestible podcast, we like to say, don't panic, just pivot. Would you be willing to share a pivot or a change you've made in your life that you're proud of?
Absolutely. And this is kind of a recent one. So I mentioned that I am 55, and I tell all of my patients, especially as women are going through menopause, I say strength training is so important. I really recommend that you're doing strength resistance training optimally 2 days to 3 days per week. And I've been doing this spiel, and was I doing it myself? No. Because I love to move my body outdoors. I'm a big runner. I love to bike. I love to ski. I love to do that. I do not like to lift weights. I just don't. My husband loves it. Goes to the gym every day, lifts weights. It's just not my thing. But I know it's important. So about 6 months ago, I'm like, I need a strategy. And that strategy is, one, I belong to a local gym. I hired a personal trainer just for half an hour once a week, right? So it got me there. It gave me, because I was like, I don't know what to do with these machines. I have no idea. It gave me a little bit of information about that. Now I no longer have to work with him because I know what to do. And I like to run. I run most days. So now what I do is I drive to the gym and I run from the gym parking lot. So when I get done with my run, I'm standing in front of the front doors of the gym. And I'm like, you know what? You're here. Because I come up with all the excuses. Like when I'm at home, I'm like, I've already run. Why would I have to go to the gym? I already did my exercise. I don't want to drive to the gym. I don't have time. So now I'm standing in front of the gym, and all I have to do is go in. And they say, one of the hardest exercises at the gym is actually opening the front door and walking in. So as long as I can do that. And then for myself, I say, hey, if you again, anything is better than nothing. So if you're there for 20 minutes, you do, some stuff. If you've got 30 minutes, you can do it. And for the first time in my life, it's been about 6 months, I've been doing this consistently. My goal is at least 2 days a week. Sometimes I get there 3 days. And what it took for me is habit stacking of, you like to run and you're going to do that most days or go for a walk most days. Park at the gym.
That's great. I love habit stacking. It's like one of my favorite James Clear things. Love it. So I think that's a great idea. I'm so glad you did that. That's great.
I know. I am too, because I'm actually now really practicing what I preach. And so important for as we, get older and we start to have sarcopenia and losing muscle mass. Like now I'm doing something about it.
Yeah. That's great.
That's great.
Well, thank you for coming on today. This has been wonderful.
Yeah, this has been such a fun conversation. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Digestible podcast with today's guest, Dr. Melissa Sundermann, the Doctor Outdoors. You can follow her on Instagram at The Doctor Outdoors. You can find out more about her and all she offers at thedoctoroutdoors.online. And keep an eye out for her book coming out in September 2025 called
Dr. Outdoors Guide to Nature and Lifestyle Medicine. Did you like today's podcast? Then please share us with others. It's the best compliment you can give us. You can also send us questions or comments to info@digestiblestrategies.com. We look forward to hearing from you, and remember, don't panic, just pivot.
The content shared on this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. We are not medical professionals, and the views expressed here are not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any health conditions. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider before making any health-related decisions.